Hello, and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, if you have been following this Bible reading plan from the very beginning, we have 7 days left until we finished the entire Bible. Well done. And today we're on Zechariah chapter 3 and chapter 4. Now, Zechariah is continuing in his night visions, his dreams, as you were. And in this particular dream, God shows him Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord and the devil standing there accusing Joshua. Now we know from Haggai 1:1 that this is not a figurative Joshua. This is the active high priest at the time. This is Joshua. And he was dressed, he sees him dressed in filthy clothes. And he has this instruction: take off those clothes. See, I have taken away your sin. And he's dressed with this clean turban on his head. And then the angel of the Lord gave this charge to Joshua. He says, listen, if you live in obedience, then you're going to govern my house and have charge over my courts. Listen, high priest Joshua, you and your associates, you are symbolic of things to come. He's basically saying, you, the high priest, are clothed with filth. We've taken that off now. We've put a garment on you. And if you walk in righteousness, you are going to be in my courts. He says, and you are a picture of those who are going to follow you. And then he says this: I am going to bring my servant the branch, like a tree. Now, this term branch is used several times as a title for the Messiah. In Isaiah 4:2, in Isaiah 11:1, in Jeremiah 23:5, and in Jeremiah 33:15, it's a reference to Jesus, the Messiah coming. And then he says this: and I will remove your sin, the sin of the land, in a single day. So now, Zechariah chapter 3, you're looking at a literal priest at the time, Zechariah was prophesying. But there's also a look that it's always been like this, hasn't it? As we've looked through these prophets, they speak about the immediate, but then there's a picture. It even says it here, symbolic of things to come. It's the branch, Jesus, coming to remove sin in a single day. Now, the next chapter, chapter 4, is also reference to what's happening at the time, but it's now not going to look at Jesus' first coming. It's looking at his second coming. We'll have a look at that in a moment. So what happens is, Zechariah is woken up. He says, the angel wakes me up. And then he asked me, what do you see? I answered, I see a solid golden lampstand with a bowl on the top and 7 lamps on it. And then there are also 2 olive trees. Now, these olive trees are important. 2 olive trees, one by the right-hand side of the bowl and the other on the left. And then, he's asking, what does this mean? And then the reply is quite cryptic, but it's profound. Not by might, Zerubbabel. Remember, he's talking, Zerubbabel is going to rebuild the temple. Not by might, nor by power. It's not by the Israelites running around carrying logs and carrying stones, but by my spirit, says the Lord Almighty. He says, you're going to build this great thing. You're going to rebuild the temple, but it's not going to happen with your sweat and tears because of you. It's going to happen because of the Spirit of the Lord. And to me, there's 2 ways to live our lives. We can live by our own strength, our own energy. God's blessed me with a certain amount of energy, but that energy is pathetic in comparison to what I can do under his might and under his power. The same applies to you. Not by might, nor by strength that you're going to raise your family, run your business, lead your ministry. Not by might, but by the power of the Lord, by the Spirit of the Lord. Then he will bring out the capstone and shout, God bless it. Now we know who the capstone is, don't we? Who dares despise the day of small things? Since the 7 eyes of the Lord that reigns throughout the earth will rejoice when they see the chosen capstone in the hand of Zerubbabel. Now he's talking about Zerubbabel, laying a capstone in a temple. But he's also, especially when he sees the 7 eyes as that perfect number, a stone, he wheels out another picture of Jesus, the rock of ages, the capstone. And so there's this double meaning in this prophecy. But Zechariah asks the question, but what do those olive trees mean? What do the olive trees mean? And you know, the meaning of those olive trees is very clear, opened up in Revelation. In Revelation 11:3-13 and in Revelation 11:4, it specifically says that in the last days, there will be two witnesses that get up and preach the gospel. They will be those who preach the gospel just before the return of Jesus. And so once again, God is showing that it's by the Spirit of God, by the power of God, Zerubbabel's going to rebuild his temple, but God is rebuilding his church, his people. And these olive trees are symbolic of preachers that are going to be preaching just before the return of Jesus.